Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. Wow. Former Sergey Kovalev trainer John David Jackson and former fighter goes in and spills the beans. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, the channel donations. I just went live. You guys holding it down, and also the Patreon family. We working. I told you guys in January, and I'm a man of my word, that this year wasn't going to be a great year for a lot of you radical casual fans. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Right? And I think that's the case. Now, trainer John David Jackson, he's saying he's basically not with Kovalev anymore, and he went in. The link is in the description. He did an interview, maybe 18 minutes long, with ATG Radio. They have the audio on a YouTube video. Shout out to ATG Radio again, so you can listen to it verbatim in its entirety. The link is in the description box, and I was blown away. Now, I say blown away because of how candid Jackson was, but in the end, I'm not really blown away in terms of I can see this. What he's saying, I could kind of see. And I'm telling you guys, this was not going to be a good year for you. A lot of you guys go solely based on how the network or a promoter will promote somebody, making it sound like fighters are invincible. People said, oh, you're just siding with Ward because you're from the Bay, this, that, and the third. But we don't fret. We don't worry about those things, because at the end of the day, the truth always comes out. And that's just what it is. And sometimes you have to wait a little bit longer. It might take a couple months. It might take years. Who knows? But eventually, the truth will rear its ugly head into the equation. So I seen a lot of this coming based on what we've seen. But it's just, like I said, I was blown away more so that John David Jackson has, it looks like, some animosity towards how he was treated by Kovalev. And he makes it very clear that he stayed with Kovalev because of his loyalty with main events and I guess Kovalev's manager. He said they never wronged me. They always took good care of me. It's a very good and very interesting read. Or it's not a read, but it's an audio. So definitely listen to it. It's kind of like an audio book. He's doing a real life tell-all. He says, and I quote, John David Jackson says, "Right now, by the way it looks, I'm no longer Kovalev's trainer anymore. I was there for the rematch because there really wasn't anything for us. Adonis Stevenson hadn't stepped up to the plate. That was a logical fight for him," meaning the Andre Ward. "I knew for the second Ward fight that Ward was going to crown him. If you give Sergey Kovalev distance, you're in trouble. Ward is a very intelligent fighter, so he knew going into the second fight that he had to crown Sergey. I knew that we could have won the rematch, but Sergey started making money, getting big-headed, and he didn't want to train hard anymore. Every camp was worse and worse." Wow. I mean, that right there is just like, oh, wow. "I wanted the second fight to prove that we won the first fight, but in camp for the second fight, he did less than he did in the first fight. If he isn't hungry anymore, that's on him. He showed his true colors, but if he comes back, he is damaged goods. He would probably beat a couple of guys, but now that they know your secret, you can't take it to the body. You're in trouble." Wow. Like, he was just going in. "Before the second fight, I didn't say much. I wasn't trying to build the fight up or brag on my guy, because I knew if Ward fought even half as he did the last fight, then it was over." Which is true. I mean, John David Jackson, he wasn't really going in on Ward, saying Ward was garbage or this and that. And he says Sergey likes to trash talk. He said a couple of things. He's blaming me for the loss, but let me tell you this. You can't blame me for your loss. When you quit, he quit. Once Andre started hitting him in the body, he was done. I told Don Turner in camp, if Ward goes to the body, Sergey's done. He can't take it to the body. So right now, he is trying to blame me for the loss. But if you don't train properly for the fight, you can't blame me. You can't blame me for the things that you don't do in camp that make you a better fighter and win a fight." Wow. He also talked about he didn't want to play the waiting game because there was a commotion of if he would jump ship and get into Ward's camp. He also said that Sergey Kovalev is extremely selfish. He says he makes Russian people look bad. All the Russians that I've trained, they're wonderful people, man. They will give the shirt off your back. This guy Kovalev is a complete dick. He wanted everything for himself. Just a really selfish person. I hate to say it, but I heard he is saying all kinds of stuff. He is just that bad. But here's my thing. People say, well, you should have just left him. But my loyalty was with Main Events and his manager because they were always good to me. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Every fight, Kovalev became worse and worse. All I say is the next person who trains him better get a contract signed before, because you won't get paid what you're supposed to. You know it's bad when everything that the guy has, he has his emblems on it. Crusher on everything. His car, his house, everything in the gym has it. The bag, everything. But when all the shit drops, he's going to see how it is for him. Wow. So he was also saying that Kovalev wasn't paying him on time, and it was up to Main Events. They were the ones making sure he was getting what he was owed. So just kind of like a nasty, and like I said, I'm blown away that he's just so candid and just like going in. But we've seen this coming. I know so much about this. Like I can't really, I'm not trying to reveal sources, but Ward's seen Kovalev after the press for the rematch, the press conference in New York. They ran into Kovalev by the elevators. This is a true story. And Ward looked at him, Kovalev looked at him, and Kovalev just turned away and looked away. So, like, I see little certain things like that. So if you say you're going to kill a man and you won't be able to come to your family, I'm going to end your boxing career, and you see somebody, no security, that's not really how you act. You know what I'm saying? But we've seen some of these patterns with Kovalev. His sense of humor is very crude. You know what I mean? Putting monkey shirts. Hey, Adonis, look, it's you. You're a monkey. You know what I mean? All that. People saying that he was doing racist stuff and he said racist things in the past, they say. And just that crude demeanor, all the memes. And I mean, you really literally killed a person, and you're almost joking about destroying Ward to the point where he could no longer go on with his career. You know what I mean? That's pretty menacing. So a lot of people, it's crazy too that the fans are so, like I was looking in some of the comments and they were blaming John David Jackson. John is just salty. He's bitter. What do you mean bitter? So it's like when Paulie Malignaggi was honestly telling you how he felt about Conor McGregor. He said he's solid, he has respectable power. It's not oh my God power. He doesn't like it when the going gets rough. And everything Paulie Malignaggi was really saying, you could see shades of that when he actually fought Floyd Mayweather, when Conor fought Floyd Mayweather. But they say Paulie's just trying to be in the press. Paulie's just he's bitter. He's mad because he got his ass whooped. But everything he's telling you sounds pretty genuine, and we seen it happen. We seen it happen when they actually fought. The whole Conor McGregor, when he starts fatiguing and he's in the trenches, he might not look like the same tenacious fighter, right? If you dig to his body, we seen those things. But people blame Paulie Malignaggi, and I seen in the comment section, there weren't too many comments on the video after I do my video. Not saying it like that, but after I do this video, you guys should check it out and leave a comment or whatnot, and you'll probably see more comments, so hopefully that balances out. But they're blaming John David Jackson. Instead of listening to what he's saying, you know what I mean, why blame him? What does he have to be bitter for? He's a former fighter. You know what I mean? So to me, it doesn't sound like he was purely just making this up out of animosity. It sounded like he rode the wave as long as he could, and he stayed there, but he had doubts. And it sounds like now he's coming clean. Like, okay, I no longer have any ties. It's officially over. He's blaming me. He's talking bad about me. So the gloves are off type of thing. He also said some interesting things in there, man. You guys got to listen. He said there's a cruiserweight that was sparring Sergey Kovalev, Isaiah Thomas from Detroit, and he said he tore Kovalev out the frame, dropped him and everything. And he said Kovalev got whooped in that sparring session. You know what I mean? He also said that he himself sparred with Kovalev, and he realized that Kovalev can't take that body work. And I'm like, wow, like he's really spilling the beans. He's like, so he said, I knew that Ward, if he came correct and he survived an early onslaught, that Kovalev was going to have a very difficult time. He told you, if you fight him from the outside, you at the end of his punches with the distance, you're going to have a tough time. But now the blueprint is out. What alarms you? What troubles you? John David Jackson says, and I quote, I've been trying to teach him for years to fight on the inside in camp. Don Turner was there and could witness. I was doing some body work with Sergey Kovalev. I made him quit. I made him fold up. I'm 54 years old and he couldn't take it. I told Don, if Ward gets on the inside, withstands the early shots from Kovalev, then Sergey is in big trouble. And that's what happened. He proved me right. He also said in this interview that he thought the guy that would be to beat him is a guy that beat him in the amateurs, which is Artur Beterbiev. He thought Artur Beterbiev would be the first person, if they were to fight, to beat Kovalev, because clearly he has punching power, and this is his style of fight. He said he would like destroy Kovalev's body and stuff like that. But that's why, to me, I believe it. I'm a believer in karma. I'm not like an overly religious person, but I definitely have belief in a belief system, believe in God, and I definitely believe in karma. And that's why it's really beneficial just to I guess treat people with dignity and be courteous, because you don't know what type of gems and secrets and weaknesses that somebody who's close to you, affiliated with you, can bring out and spill the beans. So if you make sure, if you talking bad about this person, firing them and blaming them, then there's no non-disclosure. He can talk about whatever he wants because he just did it. It's already too late, and you don't want those chinks in the armor to get out. So I told you guys, this is a phenomenal year for boxing and new media, because I told you guys, I said I'm very curious after losing back-to-back twice to another undefeated fighter and no longer being undefeated. Very curious what Kovalev was going to do next. Y'all were complaining, a lot of y'all were complaining about low blows and Tony Weeks and stuff like that, but John David Jackson is pretty much proving this to be false. And you could say, oh, he's bitter, but I was at the fight, and post-fight I have an interview, and I might even try to put the clip in it at the end of this video. John David Jackson, he was on his way out after Kovalev got stopped, right? And he says, man, there's a lot that went on. I'm gonna tell you guys, I could tell you a lot more later. You know what I mean? And then he got the hell out of Dodge. So to be honest, from what I've seen from Kovalev and what he's saying now and what happened in the fight with Ward and what I've heard some off-record stuff, this sounds very consistent. You know what I mean? John David Jackson, why would he say immediately after fight? I have the footage. Immediately after the fight. Oh, there's a lot to it. There's a lot that went on. But I can't say it right now. I'll save that for a later date. And boom, it looks like this is a later date because he went in on this ATG interview. So, you know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, Kovalev's next move, especially for all the people low blows and saying all this and stuff, his next fight is going to be very interesting, because a former fighter and trainer is now outing Kovalev, saying he don't like it to the body. I seen him getting stopped and dropped and broken down. His work ethic is not quite there. I mean, to be honest, this is all, I kind of seen this coming. Remember, I was in Oakland covering the press tour. Virgil Hunter got on. You know, Virgil Hunter's cool and smooth, wears glasses, and he just gets straight to the point. He was like, you know, Andre, he don't really drink or smoke, but Kovalev, I heard he likes to drink that vodka. You know what I mean? And everyone's like, what? Kovalev's drinking vodka? This sounds pretty consistent with some of the mentalities that John David Jackson is talking about. So Virgil Hunter says he has sources and he heard Kovalev likes to drink or party or whatever. And then you have John David Jackson, who's now saying, man, camps got worse and worse. Kovalev got big-headed. He didn't want to pay anybody. He wanted to put his Crusher logo on everything. And the work ethic and the passion stopped. You know what I mean? So that's kind of consistent if he was drinking. And again, we'll wait for Kovalev to see if he rebuttals or responds. But, I mean, there's a lot that Kovalev has done publicly. Even him going at Ward. He made it nasty. Bow to me, pray to your God, and if he does, he does. You know what I mean? That whole kind of demeanor. So, to be honest, what John David Jackson is saying doesn't sound all too shocking. We've seen that. I told you that in the post-fight breakdown with Ward Kovalev 2, that Kovalev, like Conor McGregor, they kind of like to be the dictators, which is fine. Most people like that. They want to be the bully or the power puncher. Like, you watch Conor McGregor, and I know he's an MMA fighter that crossed over to boxing, but the what I'm saying still applies. Conor McGregor, when he was dictating with Eddie Alvarez had no answer. Therefore, he was just dictating, counterpunching, bow, 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 bink, bink, getting off shots. That's cool. But when Floyd closed that distance, make him think, Johnny on the spot, smothered him and made him work at more of a frenetic pace, the pace Floyd wanted. You've seen Conor McGregor start taking big shots upstairs, start taking body shots, started crumbling. And that's what we've seen. And I told you that after the Mayweather-McGregor fight, that it reminded me of Ward Kovalev. You take that distance, guys with long, Conor has long arms, Kovalev has long arms. You take away that distance, and you have that kind of Eastern European type of style where you have to end their punches, you might get slaughtered. But if you can stay safe and get in on the inside and smother them and rip to the body, make it an uncomfortable pressure fight, quote unquote Mexican style or something like that, it's a different fight. So to be honest, I'm not really shocked with what John David Jackson is saying. I'm just shocked that it's all coming out and he's just like boom, 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 just point after point. But Abel Sanchez, he's another person. He said Golovkin was tearing Kovalev up. So I mean, you guys, you can take my word for it. You guys can do the research. Go back and listen. Abel Sanchez said Golovkin was dogging Kovalev in sparring. So now these stories are starting to sound very consistent. Triple G is a gym rat, and he's, especially a couple years ago, he was probably super hungry, super dedicated. Kovalev probably came into camp not in the best shape. And I have an interview with Kovalev from a roundtable. Kovalev specifically said, it's hard to keep Triple G off of you. So to me, Triple G was probably fighting like he normally fights, staying on top of you, and that's what was making a war, because it was making it uncomfortable for Kovalev, just like Ward did. Good pure boxers, elite level fighters like Ward, Floyd Mayweather, they can see these things and they can exploit them. They can watch tape, see, oh, okay, if I'm at the end of his punches, I'm a dead man. But if I get in on the inside, it's a different ball game. He's not going to know how to handle that. Certain fighters need time to think. Even look at Berto. Berto, he's a speedster. Just yap, yap. That's my dude. Yap, yap. Berto's cool as fuck. He's in Texas right now, I think, helping the victims and the unfortunate in Houston. But Robert Guerrero, a nasty mugging pressure. Sean Porter, nasty mugging pressure. Those are fights where he lost and got, you know what I mean, got cut and bruised because he wants the time to think and get his shots off. You know what I mean? But if you coming at him reckless and staying at his chest, that's what's making it harder for him. And that's kind of what it is with Kovalev. Kovalev wants to, he can jab. He has a great up and down, straightforward, kind of Eastern European Russian style. So he can box. You put him in a different position where he's forced to fend and ward you off, and you're just in his chest, then it's a different fight. He can't get those long arms. He's not throwing a bunch of hooks like yap, uppercuts, yap. You know what I mean? And he definitely don't like it to the body. So Kovalev's next move is going to be imperative. But new media, man, just holding it down. All of what y'all were saying, and I say y'all, but you know who I'm talking about, the usual suspect. All this stuff about Ward's a bitch, he's Andre Cow Ward and all this stuff, and he was ducking press conferences. And then now former trainer is spilling the beans saying Crusher was getting dogged and dropped by a cruiserweight. So I mean, it's a bigger man, but I know Ward that sparked cruiserweights too. You know what I mean? And I haven't heard Virgil Hunter do an interview where he's going in talking about how Ward got big-headed and he lost sight of the hunger, and he's putting SOG or AW logos on everything, and he don't want to pay me. So you got to look at that when there's these turmoils in the camp. And this was before this. This was actually during the training camp. We heard this stuff about John David Jackson wasn't satisfied. He was considering jumping ship. So check out the interview. Let me know your thoughts. If that Kovalev-Barrera fight happens, I'm definitely going to tune in. I want to see that. I want to see how Kovalev bounces back. And I want to see if he responds to John David Jackson. He says he's an asshole and he quit. So all that Tony Week stuff, now you have his own trainer saying he quit. You know what I mean? And you normally don't see that type of friction within the camp. Like if there's a fighter like George Groves was saying it was a premature stoppage versus Carl Froch in the first fight. I never seen George Groves' trainer say, no, George Groves quit. That was a rightful stoppage. So usually you see trainers and their team in in unison. Even like Robert Garcia, because I know somebody, oh, he's just saying that because he's bitter now. He's bitter now, so now he has reason to make up stuff about Kovalev. But that's not always the case, because Robert Garcia of Oxnard, Roberto Garcia, was training Brandon Rios for a long time. Brandon Rios lived with him, and Brandon Rios got stopped by Tim Bradley. Fact, you can research all this. He got stopped by Tim Bradley, and he felt the need to retire, then he unretired, and then he felt the need that he needed to change. Maybe I've outgrown the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy. But you know what? Even though Robert Garcia is not training Brandon Rios, and he's over there with Tin Goose and Ricky Funes, Robert Garcia always shows Brandon Rios love. Go look at any interview post Rios leaving him and going to Tin Goose, and it's still love. He's like, yeah, fuck yeah, Rios he's like a brother. Like, you know what I mean? He's cool about it. He's not. It's not like John David Jackson where he's spilling the beans like, yeah, Rios don't like it to this, and I seen him getting fucked up, and he's not doing that. He's not, Rios didn't want to pay me, he's cheap. He's not doing all that. So just because you are estranged or you separate your relationship, there's plenty of people in boxing who have left trainers, but they're still cool. Even Gabe Rosado, longtime trainer Billy Briscoe, he left him for a few fights, and he started training with my dude Greg Hackett. He started training with Fernando Vargas, and then he later went back to Briscoe. So obviously there was no love lost, and they were able to reunite. So just because you leave doesn't mean you're going to do what John David Jackson is doing. Let me know your thoughts. New media killing you boys. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe to the next video. Ego signing off. Do you think Kovalev was fatiguing in that second half?
I think the body shot played a part. You know, there's a whole lot of things that made the reason why that fight went the way it went. But you know, you can't argue with it. So,
did you agree with the stoppage?
I mean, I wouldn't agree with it, but if Sergey wasn't fighting back, what was he going to do? And he wasn't really defending himself pretty much.
What do you think made the difference in this fight for Andre to be able to get that, and what Sergey didn't do in this fight compared to the first?
One day I'll tell you one day, you know what. Let me see what he and I do together. I'll tell you the real deal.
Okay.
A lot of things.
A lot of things that... Was it a lot of turmoil?
No, not turmoil. No, not turmoil. You know, it has to do with the fighter. So, you know, a lot of things, but we'll talk.
Was he injured?
No, he wasn't injured, man. Listen, he fought the wrong fight. He let Andre hold him with a good body shot. They wore you down. You know, it becomes better inside fight. But there's other things that to me contributed to that, but now I can't say right now. One day.